So for the nonprofit, depending on where they're at in the United States, they will have state regulations that require an audit. If that audit is not performed and submitted to their state agency, then they will lose their status. They'll show up as delinquent. If they're receiving federal funds over a certain threshold that is currently changing, so we're not going to say the threshold, it will change here. The federal government requires that they have a single audit, that it be submitted to the data collection. If they don't do that, they could lose their funding. So the audit is critical to getting funding, but beyond that, it's a tool. They're able to submit it for grant applications. It shows the grantor that they have financial stability. They have the assets that they need to carry out the mission. So it brings transparency and confidence to the nonprofit. So for nonprofits, they are unique because they not only have to follow GAAP, they have to follow special accounting rules. Their tax returns are completely different than our for-profit entities, and most of the regulations around them are different. So it's an industry that there's a lot of information for nonprofits. There's grant compliance, there's different funding sources, there's different compliance supplement. It's just a huge amount of regulation around the industry. And so you really, really need to specialize in this area to be effective. Really, really test that. I mean, it's tried and true. You know, we work with nonprofits, we know them well. I see it on a lot of websites and I hear it a lot. But really find out, what is the volume of nonprofits? How many years have they been doing this? You can ask for references and call them. I know when I give references, people call and find out, what has their experience been? Do they have a good relationship with their firm? Are they able to ask them these technical questions, and can they, give them the guidance they need? I say check the references. The nonprofit community will communicate with each other, whereas in a for-profit, you may not want to, but the nonprofit community, they communicate with each other. And you're gonna, if you check those references, you're gonna get that feedback that'll give you confidence that you're working with the right person and the right firm that actually understands your organization. When it comes to your audit, what you'll find is that you may have difficulty getting your audit done in a timely manner. It may be more difficult, the testing, because the organization doesn't understand how you receive and expend your money. Other difficulties will just be in the financial statements themselves. They may not have all the required disclosures that everybody's looking for, and the nonprofit may not be aware of what should be in their financial statements, at which point when they go out and they're public, it may not reflect well on the agency. Beyond that, there's your 990 reporting. It's a huge document and it's public. Everybody can look at it. And so when there are errors in those public documents, it just doesn't reflect well to grantors. Currently, it's the changing of funding. So agencies that have gotten a grant, developed a program, put it in place, what they're experiencing now is the possibility that even though you have this agreement with the government to deliver this mission, that it could be stopped at any point. And so nonprofits have to be prepared to pivot. They have to be prepared to fill in gaps in programs, and sometimes they have to make really hard decisions. Like, how do we continue with this particular program if that funding was to be basically halted today? They have to advocate for themselves at the local, state, and federal level, advocate for that funding that actually helps them cover the cost. Grants are often designed to minimize the amount we have for the administration of the organization. We wouldn't do that in a for-profit setting. I wouldn't invest in a company that wasn't spending time on its leadership, on its culture, on its budgeting, on its forecasting, right? But in the nonprofit environment, we expect them to do that with as little money as possible. That's, a big constraint. And then of course, just the perception that there's fraud, they're stealing the money. They have that reputational risk at all times. And it doesn't have to be actual, it can just be somebody accuses you of that. If you are a nonprofit interested in working with Smith Marion, you can go to our website. There's an inquiry form. It does actually go to somebody's email. We will respond quickly. Usually we will respond with some follow-up questions. We're going to want to know more about your agency, as well as potentially an entrance meeting so we can understand your needs. That will help us with our proposal and pricing and meeting any deadlines you might have.